Hello everyone, welcome to my Phyrexia All Will Be One draft walkthrough. My name is MTG Nerdgirl and today we're going to be going through the drafting process and check out some gameplay. But as a nice bonus, I thought it would be really fun if I shared with you guys my favorite uncommon from every single color in the set. Now most of these I picked based on their power level, but some of them I just outright love. First up, we actually have the Annex Sentry. This is a fantastic card that gets around some of the premium red removal, takes out early blockers, and helps you get in some awesome toxic damage. This is definitely a card I'll be looking for in the draft. Next we have Trawler Drake. Now don't get Dream Trawler flashbacks, but this is a fantastic little uncommon that pairs really well with some awesome pump spells. The spells deck is a force to be reckoned with, and I would love to draft this today. Next up in black, we have Drowned in Ichor. This is a home run when it comes to removal spells. It does everything. It kills big creatures at a cheap rate and synergizes very well with Proliferate and Oil counters. Definitely an uncommon that warrants being pack one, pick one. Next, we have Rebel Salvo. Holy smokes, the rate on this card is awesome. 5 damage, kills the Dominus Lords because it can't be prevented. It even gets cheaper with Affinity, and I can tell you it's easy to get artifacts in just about any color. So a great rate, instant speed, and gets around some of the biggest mythic bombs in the format. What more could you ask for? Definitely first pickable. Next up in green, we have the Evolving Adaptive. Now this might remind you of Experiment 1, and if you remember that guy, man was he powerful. This is no different. If you want to see 1-drops that are impactful throughout the game, this is where you want to be. This is a great way for green to curve out and get in a bunch of damage while also becoming relevant throughout the game as you go on. So very powerful card. It's also important to note that with Proliferate in the format, this can become bigger and bigger even after you run out of creatures that can actually evolve it. So 10 out of 10, I'm excited to play this card. All right, let's go ahead and get into the draft and see what we end up with. Here for Pack 1 Pick 1, we are already in a tough spot. Kaya is a very powerful planeswalker and one of my favorite archetypes, but she's paired with other really powerful black cards, and that leaves me a little bit confused as to what I should pick, because cards like Drown in Ichor and Anoint with Affliction are both very, very good. So if we take Kaya, a double black spell, we're very likely going to see little black in Pack 2, but I do think Kaya is the content play as well, and she's really fun, so let's go ahead and take that. Pick 2, we got really fortunate in that we were able to follow up our big bomb with some premium removal. Drown in Ichor is everything the Orzhov colors are looking to do. Cheap removal at sorcery speed, but only 2 mana, followed up with some Proliferate to help us get those corrupt triggers. For pick 3, we've got an interesting choice here. The Gulping Scrap Trap can proliferate to activate an additional poison counter on our opponent to help our corrupt cards be active. But we also have the Atraxa Skitterfang. The ability on Atraxa Skitterfang can give flying to some of our toxic creatures to also help us get in some of the additional damage. In a pinch, you might need Lifelink or Death Touch as well, and those are really useful, especially when you have mites that you want to give Death Touch. So ultimately, I'm going to take the Atraxa Skitterfang. Pick 4, pretty straightforward. We're going to take the Stringing Hive Master. This is just a solid toxic body that replaces itself when it dies, and on rate, you're most likely going to get a decent trade. All right, pick 5, pretty easy. The Dross Pits. Great way to get some additional card draw late game to help you outdraw in your sort of board stally games. There's another Hive Master there, but 3-drops tend to come quite easily in this archetype, so I'm happy to take the redraw land. This pack might look a little sad, but the Basilica Skull Bomb is actually a really nice pickup for this archetype. It also gives a Mighty Leap in addition to the cycle, so the Mighty Leap just lets some of our cheaper toxic creatures get in and again activate those corrupt abilities, which are super important and the bulk of the power in this archetype. Now this is a pretty interesting pick. The Vat of Emergence is a pretty neat card because it says any graveyard. It also has a Proliferate stapled on to help us get the additional poison counters that we need. So it synergizes very, very well with everything our deck wants to do and lets us get a very powerful creature late game. Unfortunately, there's not a ton here for us. The Swooping Lookout can be quite good in aggressive decks, but that's not really where we are, but we'll take it anyway just in case we need to fill out our curve. Now we're getting to the tail end of the pack, but the Incisor Glider is very good for our deck, helps us get a little extra reach with our mites in the late game if we're able to go a bit wide. So definitely a good pickup. Now typically I'm not a huge fan of the 2-mana combat tricks. I usually will use 1 if there's room, oftentimes none, but Complete Devotion is a pretty nifty card because it redraws if your creature that you're targeting is toxic. So it allows you to sort of keep your foot on the gas, use it as a combat trick or removal spell if you get to kill their creature, kind of, and then it redraws and lets you continue to outpace your opponent. Definitely a big fan of this combat trick. Here we are, the tail end of the pack. Offer of Immortality is a fine 23rd playable card, but not something that will likely make the cut. We'll see. Nothing here, but blue does look very open. So let's just go ahead and take the blue uncommon and keep that in mind for pack 2 should we see a lot of blue. We don't have a ton of white, so we're open to moving. More blue cards to finish up pack 1. Unfortunately for pack 2, we're not seeing any of the black or white cards that we would like to see, but we did note at the end of pack 1 that blue seemed pretty open, and there are some pretty powerful cards here. So the card we're looking at is Thrumming Bird, because even if we do dip out of white, Thrumming Bird works really well in a Dimir black-blue type deck. So I think that's going to go ahead and be our pick, and maybe we'll course correct and get to stay in the Orzhov, but maybe we have to swap. Realistically, our white just isn't very impressive. Pick 2 is looking a lot better. There are multiple cards here I would love to run. Starting with the Whisper of Dross, this is a removal spell that works very well in the format, given that you can proliferate all your poison and oil counters, but you're also getting to deal with all those pesky little X1s that there are a ton of in the format. You would be surprised how often this card comes in handy. But my favorite, the Flensing Raptor, this is a great way to get your early toxic creatures in some extra damage, so that way you're getting to activate all of your corrupt. I actually don't think you can have too many Flensing Raptors. Now, NX Sentry is a great choice for any toxic deck. This 4 toughness toxic creature gets around some of the removal, also removes blockers to help get in your earlier toxic creatures, and just all around does everything you want to do in this deck. This pick is a 10 out of 10. Here in pick 4, it's good to see that we're getting a lot of black and white options. I'm feeling much more comfortable with staying in Orzhov and getting to play the Kaya that we pack 1 pick 1. But the Crawling Chorus and Sheldred's Headcleaver are both great options, and I would be happy to play them. But Indoctrination Attendant creates 2 bodies, and it's pretty easy, allows you to re-trigger your ETBs. So I like everything about that card, so I'm going to go ahead and take that. Unfortunately, not a lot here for us. We're going to go ahead and just take a curve-filling 4-drop. Maybe our mites might activate it. Again, nothing super excited creature-wise, but we do have a Hive Master, which is very playable. Pick 5 was a little underwhelming, but we've got some good choices here. Vanish into Eternity and a second Hive Master. Both reasonable picks, but I always default to the removal. Another Flensing Raptor. Love to see that we're getting a lot more white, and this Raptor will really tie together the corrupt theme that we want to be building with this Orzhov deck. Now we're looking at Charge of the Mites. This is a fantastic card that doubles as both removal and creatures. Now the cool thing about this card is you can cast it at instant speed, create 2 mites, so on turn 3, oftentimes your opponent will go ahead and swing with their 2-drop because they don't expect you to have anything, and then you instant speed cast 2 mites, guaranteeing that you can get in 2 poison counters, which is great in a corrupt deck. It's cool to see that we still have some options here in pick 9. We've got a top-end card in Gruul Grimnarch, but we also have Complete Devotion, which is ultimately going to be my choice because, again, really helps with those toxic creatures getting in for additional damage and helps you keep your foot on the gas with the redraw. Mandible Justicar is not an exciting 2-drop, but sometimes you just need a random card to help fill your curve, but it does synergize pretty well with mites. An interesting choice here, the Prosthetic Injector is a cool card to help you ramp up a little bit more with your toxic creatures, but I think I'll just take the Gruul Grimnarch for a little top end. We probably won't run it. Last couple picks here, nothing special. I don't think we're going to run any of these cards, so we're going to take the uncommon for vault value. A filler 3-drop, the Cutthroat Centurion, not a thing we're interested in playing. We're simply just not making enough mites. Zealot's Conviction, a fine card for our archetype, but probably not going to make the cut. Pack 3, off to a great start. We've got the Ravenous Necrotitan and the Vivisection Evangelist. I'm preferable to the Vivisection Evangelist because it doubles as removal, and honestly, a 4/4 Vigilance is a pretty sizable body. The difference between the 4/4 and the 6/6, not a ton. The set overall is pretty low to the ground, and sometimes having the Vigilance is much better. And that's just, outside of having this stapled onto a big removal spell. So definitely very happy with my first pick here in pack 3. Pick 2 is actually kind of close. I like the Basilica Shepherd and the Blight-Bellied Rat. These are both great picks, but I think I'm going to go ahead and go with the 2-drop Toxic Creature because it works really well with the raptors that we picked up earlier, gets in some great early toxic damage in so we can activate our corrupteds and get those things in as quickly as possible. Also, eventually when the Blightbelly Rat does die, proliferates, helps you get to those 3 counters much quicker. Pick 3, pretty straightforward. A second charge of the mites is definitely where I want to be. It's more removal because we're a little light on it, but they also work really well together. When you cast the first one for creatures, it helps you boost up the removal for the second one. Definitely a great pickup. Pick 4, possibly the easiest pick of them all, Drown in Ichor, but again, there's a lot of really good things here, means we are way open. The Ravenous Necro-Titan, a 3rd charge of the mites, Bone Picker Scourge, all great cards. Glad to see that we are in the right seat. You know, draw cards are pretty good. I tend to like my lands to draw, but Infectious Inquiry is a good card to help get those initial 3 points of poison in. It also makes our Drown in Ichor proliferates a little bit better. Whisper of the Dross here for pick 6 is a great card. Again, proliferate, get those extra poisonous counters onto our opponents, and activate all of our sweet corruption. Tail end of the pack here, nothing too good, but our mana curve is low, so we can go ahead and put a Terramorphic Expanse, help thin the deck, and cast some of our double-colored spells. Taking a quick look at our 2-drops, I see we are a little short, plus we want more early toxic, so the Mirror Convert is going to be the pick. Bone Picker Scourge, a fantastic pickup. This card is really cool. It does a ton of things and helps you win those races in our longer games. Swooping Lookout, pretty decent card for Boros. Not going to see some play here, but happy to pick up uncommons where we can. Nothing here we're excited about. Vat of Rebirth, not going to make the cut, but it's worth more vault value. Whoa, a pick 12 Necro-Titan. Oh my goodness, I've been sad every single time we've passed this card. So glad to see them wheeling around. Curve Filling 4-drop, probably not going to need it, but... And final pick, not usable. Overall, pretty happy with the deck. Let's go ahead and get into the deck building. All right, so here's a brief overview of the deck before we get into the games. I love what we've got going for us. We've got a great top end with Kaya. We have lots of removal with Double Drown, Whisper of Dross. We also have a Vanish to Eternity, the Evangelist. Everything's looking good. We also have a fantastic Toxic package with some early 2-drops, the Complete Devotions, going into the Flensing Raptors, and that allows us to cast things like the Ravenous Necro-Titan to wrap things up and get in some big wins. So overall, I love the deck. This is one of my favorite archetypes, and I'm excited to get into the game. This is a tad bit slow for our starting hand, but I think I'll keep this. This seems very reasonable. Both colors, play our tap land early. Make sure I don't hurt people's ears on YouTube. Okay, Black Skull Bomb, little card advantage. We're really looking to draw something useful, but getting to cast Mites, attack with 2 on the play can be pretty good. A little unfortunate that they beat us onto the board, but I don't think we have another good option. So instead, I'm gonna cast it at instant speed, hope that they tap out here. We're too slow, maybe they play a Mana Rock and attack with the 2/2. We don't want to give them any incentive to not swing here. And if they don't have another 2-drop, it feels pretty good for us. So now we can go ahead and create the Mites and start activating the poison counters. I'm all for this. I will also play the Incisor Glider. We could hold open the Mites and use another set to get in the 3rd point of damage for the Toxic, but I don't think that's a good use of our only remaining removal spell. Okay, I have to sack a creature. I will sack a Mite. And then if this is the only thing they do, I will go ahead and use my Mite's ability so we can go ahead and get in this last point of damage that we need. We're gonna thin the deck. And let's go ahead and get in the last point of Toxic that we'll need, and we can actually use the Evangelist to kill anything that is played from here on out, and the Incisor Glider from now on is going to make everything large and scary. This is fine. We are massively ahead on board, and it's going to be tough to come back from this spot. We get some more toxic, everything gets bigger. Even the raptor will make this little guy pop up off the ground and fly, so that way they can't kill that. So whatever they play here is going to have to be able to block the 5/5 vigilant creature. And this doesn't have death touch just yet, so they might actually just be dead. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, not quite. I'm tempted to just kill it and go in because this is one of the stronger cards. I'm actually going to do that. Just popping up the 1/1 could be very good too, but I think that is one of the scariest uncommons in the set. And nice smooth curve and some poison damage. A little questionable with only 2 lands, one of which will thin the deck, but I do like where we are with being on the play, being able to cast Blightbelly on 2, backing that up with Whisper for some possible removal, all hopefully amounting to a turn 4 corrupted Necro Titan. Make sure we don't accidentally click on a plains here, because that's a mistake I would probably never make. Okay, so hopefully we can get some good value out of the Whisper of Dross. Oh no! No, they use premium removal on my 2-drop. I'm not going to complain. Hopefully we can go ahead and run back our game plan of casting Charge of the Mites and getting in some bonus damage. Great, so they didn't cast anything. Hopefully Charge of the Mites will do the job. I'm gonna go ahead and just cast the Raptor, increase the chances that we'll be able to get the Necro Titan in for free, and it lets us hold open the Dross, Whisper of the Dross. Casting Necro Titan here is not a terrible play. The main reason I don't do it is just because they have black and white, both cards that have a lot of cheap ways to deal with this, including the pacifism effects and some of the black exile and just straight destroy effects. But none of that mattered because our opponent gave up. Unfortunately, not on the play, but we've got both colors, our tap land for some redraw, and an okay curve starting at 3. The Vat of Emergence is also a card I'm a big fan of. And this is fine. Yeah, great. We unfortunately can't get value out of the Proliferate from the Whisper of Dross, but I'm okay to just kill this Sinew Dancer. Well, I guess I will wait. Getting to cast the Mire first, especially because this has Toxic, is a great spot. It is a mirror match where both Orzhov most likely corrupt, considering they have this Sinew Dancer. But we're going to make sure they don't get any value out of it. Oh no. Okay, well, we didn't draw a second. It's a little unfortunate. We didn't draw a second black source, because I definitely would have Ickered, Drossed, and went in. But I think I'm okay to just mirror them with the Hive Master. Being a little greedy, trying to make sure we can get the poison counter proliferate trigger here. It matters, you know, 3 poison triggers here in our hand with our spells is pretty good. I'll block. Neither one of us wants to be the first person to get the poison counter. Okay. It's a great option for us. So let's go ahead and Icker. Again, we're going to miss that trigger. But I can't imagine they will block this with the Sinew Dancer. Ooh, they did. I am also okay with that. They really don't want to get that poison counter. Not a problem. I will definitely block. I will definitely not block. I will Whisper of Dross them. We miss out on the proliferate trigger again, but that's okay. We can technically Vat of Emergence next turn, but nothing super great. Maybe this Menacer might be worth it? We are just one more mana away from being able to cast the Kaya. Great. So we go to 5. And the following turn, we will be able to cast the Kaya, which will be good. Gosh, another proliferate trigger that we're just going to throw away. I hate it. But let's get something on the board. This Menace Toxicer will help us get Corrupt. We're ahead on cards. They can't activate the Spell Bomb to pull it out of our grasp. This is just good value. And then next turn, Kaya can come down and kill just about anything and start gaining some pretty epic card advantage. So many proliferate triggers just down the drain. I'm heartbroken. They want to use their premium removal on our Shieldred. I'm Shieldred's Head Cleaver. I'm okay with that. Oh no, they beat us to a Planeswalker. Draw a card, lose a life, and proliferate. They also don't have it yet. Target creature becomes a treasure. Okay, the proliferate not doing anything yet. So we need to get in there and attack this. Exile target creature or enchantment. Okay, well, this is a problem. What is the -9? Target creature becomes a treasure. Okay. Well, we definitely don't want this to be able to come back and attack us. I'm going to decline that, thank you. And we're gonna go in for Shieldred. We need to kill her. You need to die. Next turn we can create poison counters on our opponent. Menace plus flying, we probably can activate. Corrupted leaves us with a lot of really strong draws, and we can also redraw the Dross Pit as well. They can -2, make something a treasure, but we're so far ahead on board. That's not a terrible spot for us. Okay, it's up to 4 loyalty. Amy. Okay, little bat. I'm very, very interested in beating down this Phyrexia before their card advantage is too much. Oh, how convenient. This is great. So we can actually get the Bone Picker out of the way. I'm guessing some removal comes down here. I don't know what, though. I'm a little concerned if they let this go through, we attack, and then they kill it in response, they can block something and the Phyrexia doesn't die, but... Charge of the Mites. You've got it. That's fine. Let's go ahead and start draining life. I think that's better than letting them scry. And we will take a chunk out of the Phyrexia. I feel pretty far in the lead, so I'm not too worried about, you know, trying to get in the face damage. We could, but definitely lost a lot of games to thinking I could race the Planeswalker, and it wasn't a thing. But I think while we've got Phyrexia that is Kaya, which is hexproof and just so powerful in the long game, that we can definitely afford to chip away here. All right, they've got another Bone Picker. So now they can deal with the flying and the menace. Wow, that's a lot of creatures. Certainly a lot of creatures. I think I was supposed to redraw there and forgot. I can draw to... Each opponent may scry. That does feel pretty good. Then we can't exile a thing. I think that's okay. I'm gonna go ahead and kill the Bone Picker and make it so that way Vraska does die. They actually cannot save her. Actually, we'll hold this back, just so that way we can also protect our Kaya on the way back. If they choose to just let her die, then they can come back for 2. If they top deck a removal spell to kill the bat, we lose the Kaya. So I'm okay here. The only way they save her is by losing both of their creatures, which is fine. And the Chorus Crawler could also come back at the Kaya. Great. This protects a little bit longer, but we've been able to out-damage and remove all of the things. They've had to chump block the stuff that the Vraska is drawing. So we feel very much in the lead. All right. Thankfully, this Proliferate is not doing any work on their side. If they had gotten in a poison damage or two, definitely would have, you know, we could have chosen to kill the Vraska there, leaving us a lot more open, but they would have gotten a lot of Proliferate damage in. Okay. They're gonna grab a creature. You got it. This does mean the Vraska is dead if that's the creature they are replaying. They can't double block the Head Cleaver. Does look like there's some sort of stick here. That could be like the white aura, +1/+1, and then +2/+1 and first strike. If I definitely want a plus here. Let's go here. They can't block. And here. Start getting poison counters onto the opponent for Proliferate triggers. Not that we didn't already use all of our Proliferate stuff in the beginning of the match. And Vraska is down. She's dead. Long live Kaya. Okay. Down goes the bat. There could be a white pump spell, +1/+ whatever. I think that's what that stick is. I'm gonna go here. I think that's what they have, and this would bait out casting it, so they think they're gonna kill the Kaya, but they're actually not going to kill the Kaya, and instead we will get a 2-for-1, which feels fantastic. Thank you, MTG Arena Stick, for your information, and for the 7 wins. I'm pretty sure that's it, guys. Let me just double check here. Yep, just like that, we've got 7 wins with our very sweet Orzhov deck, and Kaya put in some work at the end there. Overall, very, very happy with the deck. If you guys enjoyed the video and the gameplay, make sure you guys leave me a comment down below. I'd love to hear what you guys think of Phyrexia All Will Be One. And that's it for this video. Thanks again, guys, and we'll see you next time. Bye.